You upload a new video, check the Studio app, and see a massive green spike, a 9% click-through rate. The views are pouring in, and the initial data points to a breakout hit. But check back 48 hours later, and that line goes completely flat. The impressions stop, and the video's momentum dies entirely. When a thumbnail pulls in a high volume of clicks, but the viewers leave within the first 30 seconds, the recommendation system registers a mismatch. It flags the packaging as clickbait and cuts off distribution. This is the CTR trap. It occurs when you design a thumbnail solely to maximize the initial click, at the direct expense of viewer satisfaction. To survive the algorithm, you have to stop treating click-through rate like an arcade high score. Instead, you need to engineer your thumbnails to qualify the right audience and protect your retention graph. The metric actually driving the recommendation engine is not raw clicks. It is watch time per impression. This equation shows exactly how the system calculates that metric. It multiplies click-through rate by average view duration. If you pull a massive 10% CTR, but the viewer bails after 30 seconds, that high multiplier crashes. The final score plummets, burying the video. That percentage is also highly dependent on where the click actually happened. A raw CTR number means nothing without the context of the traffic source. This funnel illustrates the difference in those sources. Search traffic is narrow, full of viewers looking for a specific answer, converting at a high rate. Browse traffic is massive, pitching to a cold audience on the homepage, which converts at a much lower rate. Because of this math, a dropping click-through rate over time is often a positive signal. It indicates the system has exhausted your core subscribers and is successfully pushing your video to a wider, colder audience. The human brain processes imagery tens of thousands of times faster than text. If your thumbnail relies on a full sentence to make its point, the viewer has already scrolled past. The optimal limit is 0 to 3 words. Because 70% of YouTube views happen on mobile devices, scale is critical. If those few words aren't massive, they effectively do not exist. This simulation shows a text-heavy desktop design shrinking to the size of a mobile screen. The complex design becomes an unreadable blur, while the minimal, high-contrast version remains perfectly legible. Readability is only the baseline. The image itself must prove the video's value, and highly polished, sterile digital art often works against that goal. In communities like 3D printing, A/B testing reveals a consistent pattern. Authentic, slightly imperfect real-world photos drastically outperform clean digital renders. The physical object proves to the viewer that the solution actually exists. Minimal text guarantees the viewer understands the premise instantly, and unpolished visual authenticity gives them a reason to trust the content before they click. Once you have a design, the only way to verify it is through YouTube's native test and compare tool using strict scientific rules. You start by testing entirely different visual concepts against one another. You only run additional tests on minor refinements, like the color of an arrow, after you have identified the winning concept. During these tests, you must isolate a single variable. If you change both the thumbnail and the video title at the same time, you have no way of knowing which element actually caused the viewer to click. The resulting data is useless. You also must let the test run until it reaches statistical significance. If you end the experiment after just a few hours, your results will be heavily skewed by the behavior of your returning subscribers, not the cold audience you are trying to attract. Adhering to this testing protocol removes the guesswork. It turns thumbnail design from an art project into a predictable mathematical system. To evaluate your existing videos, you can use the ultimate diagnostic tool, the click-through rate versus retention matrix. This matrix plots your click-through rate on the y-axis and your average view duration on the x-axis. Videos that land in the high CTR, low retention quadrant are in the danger zone. Your thumbnail made a promise that your video failed to keep, resulting in immediate viewer drop-off. The only true proof of an optimized video is the high CTR, high retention quadrant. Here, the packaging perfectly matches the payload. Open your analytics and find the video with your highest click-through rate and your lowest retention. Then head down to the comments and admit exactly how your thumbnail accidentally lied.